There are few who can write a book about vampires as well as Anne Rice. She has been credited with single-handedly reviving supernatural fiction. She wrote her first novel, Interview with a Vampire, in 1976. Today, her 28 novels have sold more than 100 million copies worldwide. Over the years, she's explored ghosts and witches as well as blood drinkers. Her new book, The Vampire Armand, returns to where she began. It is the sixth book in her hugely popular series, The Vampire Chronicles. I am pleased to have her here to talk about whatever we'll talk about. Welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
How many times have you been on this show?
I don't know. At least 4 or 5.
Oh, no,
whatever
more than
that means.
No,
more than that, maybe
I
6.
would think more, maybe.
Yeah, probably so. It's always a pleasure. I always love it.
Well, I do too. At long last, we're going to give Armand his due, aren't we? Just when we thought he was burned to death,
he
comes back.
Yes. It was very important for me to go back to him, and going back to him was like going back to the beginning, because he's been in all of the novels, except maybe for one. He's appeared in them.
But not as a major character.
Not as a major character, but as a major influence on the plot, usually. Yeah. Or very much an antagonist of Lestat, or somebody that seems really evil but enigmatic at the same time. And I really loved going back, gathering all the material in the other novels that I had done on him, and exploring that, you know, like having that discipline of what had already been said. I couldn't contradict anything, yet I had to make a coherent life within that structure.
Lestat is your favorite?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm in love with Lestat. I mean, Lestat's my male alter ego, my supernatural alter ego.
So if we know something about Lestat, what do we know about you, in a sense? What does that say about you, that he is your alter ego?
Well, most of my life I've lived in my dreams, in my imagination, and in books. I haven't been a person of action like Lestat is. I haven't been a romping hero the way I think Lestat is. And when I write in Lestat's voice, or even in Armand's, I can write through somebody who's having many more adventures than I will ever have. But I think that's the point of view of my kind of fiction. You provide for yourself what you're providing for the reader. An imaginative world where people can behave in a highly heroic or demonic fashion. It's very important to me to enter that world over and over again. And it's very important to me to try to offer to my readers something that will really take them out of ordinary life. And I hope they'll be enhanced when they come out of it.
You wrote this in a blaze of spontaneity.
Right.
You didn't sit out and try to outline this, and you didn't carefully structure this. You just went to work.
I'll tell you what had happened. I had outlined it over and over again for 3 years, and I threw that outline out. On December 1st, I went in and said, I've got to do this book. I've got to face Armand. I've got to face again the challenge of writing something that's a bang-up vampire story and absolutely transcends it. You know, it's got to transcend the horror genre. It's got to be more than entertainment, or life is not worth it for me, or I've failed life. And I sat there and wrote from December 1st to January 6th when it reached its conclusion. The only thing I knew about it at the beginning is that Armand would become very close to two mortals, Sibel and Benji. That was all I really knew, and I had a vague idea of who they were. And the rest of it was going by what I had always written about Armand, you know, going deeper into his life in Russia. He was kidnapped as a boy, taken to Constantinople, Istanbul actually, and he was sold to Venice, to a brothel. And then I had Renaissance Venice to write about, which I loved, and I kept the characters there.
Is it Venice you love, or Florence most?
It's both, actually. It's both for entirely different reasons. But in the book, they actually go to Florence for a few nights just to see all these wonderful things, like the monastery of San Marco. And I went back to Florence as soon as I finished the book. Within days, I left.
Why did you do that?
I wanted to check certain things. I had not gone to the monastery of San Marco before, but I described it in Armand, and I wanted to walk through it myself. And I had no idea what a well-developed museum it is, and how spectacular it is to see Fra Angelico's painting. But I went there just to do that, and I saw all kinds of other things that I wanted to see, and then came home and immediately wrote a sort of Italian romance of a vampire novel, Vittorio the Vampire, which will come out this spring. Right. And it's my Romeo and Juliet, if I have one, of the vampires. And they're not vampires connected with any of the others, but they fit the cosmology. And again, trying to transcend, always trying to transcend. I mean, I don't want to just be a popular writer.
You want to be what?
I want to be a great writer.
You think you have a chance?
I don't know. I can't possibly judge that. I know I give it everything that I can. I don't hold back, fearing that I'll make a fool of myself.
But do you believe that you are, or do you believe you have the chance to be? You can get there.
I honestly don't believe. I think I may have the chance. I don't know whether or not I am. I really don't. Only the world can decide that.
And is there anything you can do to make, I mean, what can you do to accelerate or to make it happen? I mean, can you do anything other than continue to work and to try to make it better?
Not really. I mean, you just have to take every dare. Just when you want to think, oh, I can't get away with this, but I really want to write it, that's the time to write it. Take the dare. Don't listen to cynicism. Don't listen to anybody who's trying to stop you or wants you to be safe.
What if I said to you, what you should do is get away from being writing about the things that you know and you're comfortable with and stretch your wings? I have, and it hasn't worked too well. I know. Why is that? I don't know. Well, because you've developed a worldwide readership that expects you to write about vampires. And they love your characters, too. And some of the books that I consider not to be so successful, they also love. I mean, there's always somebody walking up and saying, I really love Feast of All Saints. Well, I wrote that years ago. It was a complete flop, and I felt very bad afterwards. I never ceased to believe in it, but I just thought it doesn't work as a novel where all these people would dislike it. Well, right now, I mean, lots of people read that book and talk to me about it and tell me it's their favorite. Are you popular around the world? I mean, people that buy your books in Japan? Yeah, absolutely. I'm very fortunate in that regard. Russia? Well, Turkey. I think they do in Czechoslovakia, and they do in Poland, so I guess we're creeping into Russia. Well, you'll get there soon enough. Yeah, right. Now, how about Africa? No, I don't think we have any African contracts, but I could be wrong. Because we're translated, with each book has so many translations, just maybe 11 different languages, 12, maybe 15, I'm not sure. I know we are in Iceland, and I know we are in Israel. You write with a manic intensity, and then when you finish, you go on these binges. Well, I don't mean eating binges, but I mean, it's a little bit of a chocolate thing there. But oh, well, a little bit of that, but lately, the first thing that happened after Armand is I couldn't go to sleep for 3 days. And then we left for Florence. Having stayed up most of the past 6 weeks. Right, exactly. And then we took off for Florence, so there was immense stimulation. The whole trip was structured. We visited people in the evening in their houses. We went to fabulous villas out in the country. We went to with art critics all through the Uffizi. And I'd been there 3 times before. All this was to get the max out of it. And so that I could continue using Italy as an important and vital sort of setting in my novels, as well as New Orleans. This book ranges from Constantinople to, and from Russia and Constantinople all the way to New Orleans today, present New Orleans. That's right, it does. And also Kiev, Rus, in the time of the Mongols is very important in this book. And I didn't get to go there. I wish I had. But I'm afraid of the fallout from Chernobyl. You are? Mainly for my companions. You know, if I was alone, I'd go myself, but I can't see dragging a bunch of people with me, and we always travel in a group, you know. What do you fear the most? What I fear the most? Yes, other than nuclear fallout. If I told you what I feared, really, let me see if I can really answer that question. What I fear is that the aliens that we read so much about are real. And they're going to come down here, and they're not going to be any nicer to us than the Spanish were to Cortez. Not to Cortez, to Montezuma. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're not going to treat us any better than we treated everybody when we came to the New World. Why should they? And I really am afraid of that. I'm afraid. Are you serious? I'm totally. See, this is you take the dare and people think you're crazy. No, I'm not asking you. Of course I'm serious. Just asking. I read all these accounts of alien abductions. I read the first-person accounts. They're very convincing. You know, these people, and when they come on television, they're clearly, see, you're laughing, but this... No, but I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm taking you seriously, please, because I want you to hear more about this. Okay. And then there's one other thing I'm afraid of. What's that? Death. Well, we all ought to be afraid of death. Yeah, some people aren't, but some people escape that fear for a while. It's not so much fear, but there's so many great things to do, you know. Yeah, there's so many great things. You know what I would fear most? What? Prolonged incapacity. Oh, that would be horrible, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely horrible. And of course, we see that happening around us all the time as great uncles and aunts get strokes and things like that, you know. And you see it and you think, when that happens to me, I hope I go like that, you know. And if I wanted to torture you, what would I do? I'm not going to tell you that. There's a simple answer, but I'm not telling you. Oh, there's one thing that would do it for you? Oh, God, I would be a wreck. You'd tell me everything, wouldn't you? Yeah, but I'm not telling you what it is. Oh, give me a hint. Cockroaches, lots of them. Are you serious? I've told you something I shouldn't have told you. A little cockroach coming up. Stop that, Charlie. Come on, Charlie, please. Inside your jacket, that little cockroach. See, I knew you'd do this. Did you read 1984? Orwell's book. Remember when they got him with the rats? Oh, this is...
I shouldn't have told
I'm going
you.
to call you up in the middle of the night, and I'm going to
Yeah,
say,
I see the impulse is sadistic in you. You're not saying like, "Oh, see, there's never a cockroach on the set, and he's going to come get you with him." And you probably have a cockroach next time I come, and I'll go crazy through that curtain.
You can count on a little cockroach.
Oh, no, I'm not counting on it. Oh God.
Why cockroaches?
I don't know. They're horrible little things.
They live forever.
Talk about them. Yeah, right,
listen,
they do.
you can't even nuke them. They survive.
I've often thought about that fact, Oh, God, there are horrible little details about them. You just don't want to know.
How about snakes?
Not at all. I love snakes.
Not a problem. Love snakes.
Put them around my arms. Down in South Beach and Miami Beach, people are holding them, and they'll take your picture with them. I love them.
Oh, you love that?
Yeah, put them all around me.
But put a cockroach on you.
Oh, you wouldn't have time to take a picture. And it wouldn't be a good one. It would just be somebody's skirts disappearing out a door.
So if those little aliens that you've been talking about want to get you.
Back to Men in Black.
Want to get you. I can see it now. They can just sort of flop down onto New Orleans.
Well,
There's a knock at your door.
In the abduction accounts, they don't use cockroaches, so I've been safe so far.
You think there's life out there?
Oh, yeah.
In other words,
I think there probably
is,
is.
As they say, intelligent life.
Yeah.
Other than this planet.
Yeah, and I think that Christianity could be out there too. I don't think religion should panic when they face this question: is there life out there? I think any worldview that's well developed could extend to these planets as well. In fact, I read something, the Book of Urantia, in which Christ went to all the planets, and only on a few was he crucified.
What was the difference?
I don't know. They didn't tell us. It's a big book. It's about that
You read a lot?
Yes, I do. I read nonfiction. I read alien accounts. I read near-death experiences, and I read history, just tons of history.
So near-death experiences, that intrigues you too?
Very much, yeah.
I mean, all these things tie together, don't they? I mean,
Yeah,
death
they do.
and then aliens and...
Yeah, they do. I mean, my books have to come from an obsession, no doubt about it. And I hope that's the best way to write.
Is this cover do you have anything to do with this cover?
Vicki Wilson came up with that cover.
Yeah.
She's my editor, and she really scores with the
We
covers.
like Vicki, don't we?
Yeah, I love Vicki.
Especially after we've maligned editors.
Yes.
So we have to.
No, I really adore
we have to be
her.
good to Vicki
I really
now,
adore
don't
her.
we?
She's a close friend. I love her.
Really?
Yeah, she's been with 20 years. We've been together. She published an
But you
interview
don't
with
let her touch a word. That's
No, I don't.
You love her,
And
but you don't trust her judgment.
I don't trust anybody.
So why do you have this passage in here? Jesus speaking to Mary Magdalene. Jesus saith unto her, touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God.
It's a complex reason. It has to do with Armand's religious journey from the Monastery of the Caves in Kiev all the way through the Renaissance, where he had almost a religious humanism, into modern times. It really just resonates with that. And also, I don't know what it means.
If you could live in history as any character, who would it be?
Oh, Peter the Great or Louis the 14th.
You like conquerors, do you?
It's cold in France. It's cold in Russia. They don't have them.
Anne Rice, the vampire Armand. At long last, he gets his book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. You were charming.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.